Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Bloomburrow Draft here on the channel. We're going to be going pick by pick, play by play, talking through everything, and huge shout out to Wizards of the Coast for giving me a free preview account in the early access event so I can get this recorded early. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe for more, and comment with your questions, thoughts, and feedback. Our rare is magnificent, the Rotten Mouth Viper. Now, the reason this card is so good is because if you basically attack them with it once, you start forcing them to make very awkward decisions. So you really want to play it with like token makers or ways to like get it out early, because if you can, then all of a sudden it comes in with a blight counter, so they might lose 4 life. Then you attack them, it gets a second blight counter, and then they have to lose 8 life, or they have to start discarding cards or sacrificing permanents, and that is really good for you. So I'm going to take the Viper. There's also Galewind Moose, which is really strong, and Harvest Right Host, which is really strong. Now, Rotten Mouth Viper plays very well with Carrot Cake, because if you play Carrot Cake, that's 2 permanents that you can then sacrifice to play the Rotten Mouth Viper. So you can maybe get down on turn 4 or something like that. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I love Intrepid Rabbit, but I just think this card's going to be very strong, so we're going to take that. Intrepid Rabbit. Harvest Right Host lets you like buff your creatures and draw cards. This Galewind Moose just has a bunch of abilities, and then the Rabbit is like one of my favorite commons. Just gets you a lot of utility and bodies and stuff like that. Okay, so we've started with a Rotten Mouth Viper. We've already kind of mentioned how it would be a really good combination with like white cards, like the food card we saw. But I think it's also going to just fit really well into a red-black deck that's being aggressive. And so I think Rabid Gnaw is going to be my second pick out of this pack. It's a really good removal spell, really good for pushing damage, really efficient, really cheap. And overall, it just plays well. Like red-black aggro is going to love the Rotten Mouth Viper, because if your opponent is low on life, all of a sudden they have to make harder decisions. Reptilian Recruiter is also a good card for this red-black deck. It's probably not going to wheel, but it's worth keeping in mind. And then Scales of Shale can be really good in the red-black deck if you have a lot of lizards. This is not a lizard, it's a snake. But if you have a lot of lizards, then this can be a good combat trick that other decks won't want. So I'm going to start with Viper, follow up with Gnaw. There's also a Gate Assault, which is a good card as well, but I think it's worse than the Gnaw. Okay, so where are we at? We started with Viper. We took Gnaw. We now kind of have this idea that we could build a red-black aggro deck, but we're not committed to this because we were only 2 picks in. We don't even know if black is open. Now, pick 3, we see several very interesting cards. Night Fisher is very strong if you can play a bird deck. White-blue has the highest concentration of birds, but that, of course, means that blue has just some birds on its own. I think we already saw like a 4-mana 3/3 bird, but this is basically a 5-mana 4/5 flyer, which is just good stats. I think, however, that we might be more interested in Coruscation Mage. It's a really good 2-drop, pings your opponent, does a lot of damage, fits with a red card that we already just took, the Rabid Gnaw, like we'll ping them when you cast this. And when you use the Offspring token, if you play that on turn 4, it gives you 2 bodies to sacrifice to get an early Rotten Mouth Viper down. So we're definitely going to consider this card. And then the final option is Plume Creed Escort, which is another nice card that gives you like protection from a removal spell or something like that. But I think we're going to take the Mage because it plays with the cards we already have. Okay. 2 red cards in. One thing that is important to note about signal reading, which is kind of the art of figuring out what the people around you are doing so that you can draft colors they aren't drafting and get better cards, is that one thing about signal reading is the Rotten Mouth Viper was a card we opened. So that's not really a signal because the person had no influence over us getting that card. But we have now gone red card, and now we're probably going to take another Rabid Gnaw and just get a 3rd red card. And that's a little bit of a sign. It's like, oh, maybe the person passing to us isn't interested in red cards. Maybe they opened a good green card, got past a white card, and now they're playing green-white or something like that. We've been seeing a little bit of blue. Remember, we saw that Night Fisher. There is a Fountainport Bell, which is just a flexible card that any deck that kind of wants to splash can use. But we're just going to keep taking red cards. And the benefit of taking red cards is that even if black isn't open, we can get enough red cards that we're going to be fine and able to just like still support the Rotten Mouth Viper if we really want to. Here, a nice Alania's Pathmaker, stick to red. The benefit of taking more red cards here is the more red cards we have, the more likely it is that we'll just be able to play red. So it's like, I have 4 red cards now. They're all good. And so I'm going to be able to play a red deck basically no matter what. And that means that every red card I take that's good is guaranteed to make my deck. Whereas if I was to take like a Plume Creed Mentor, it's so far away from what I'm doing right now that even though it's a good card, it's so unlikely to be played that it's like almost worth nothing to me. Though if I had taken the Night Fisher route, this card could have led to like a Blue-White Flyers deck maybe. But still, like that's kind of the compromise you make. And now I'm like, okay, I'm in really good shape to play red cards. And that means that it makes me more likely to be able to play this card as well. Because if I have a lot of good red cards, then my like secondary color can also be supported. Okay, so we've taken a bunch of red cards in a row now. We have 4 great red cards. This card's solid. These cards are both great. This card's great. We can take now like a Bonebind Orator. I still really want to play the Rottenmouth Viper. I think it's a good card. Even if the Rottenmouth Viper isn't as good as I think it is, because this is still an early access event draft that I don't have a ton of experience, especially with mythic rares of like the cards in action. Even if that premise itself is flawed, the concept will still apply to your draft of, oh, I have this really good black card. If I get deep into a second color that's very open, I can then like take whatever black cards that I see that I do want and just end up in a good spot here. So now I've gotten quite a few good red cards, a couple good black cards. Here, the choice I think is between Hidden Grotto as just like a land that can get you a little bit of filtering and fix your mana a little bit, or I could take like Into the Floodmaw, which is a very cheap, efficient blue card like trades like cards for tempo, which I think I'm going to take because the cards that I do have in blue could pair well with, red could pair well with blue. And I could maybe play a blue-red spells deck. I don't think I'm going to miss a Scales of Shale. A Hidden Grotto is not going to be a huge priority for me. So even though I'm not really looking to play blue, I think this is going to end up working out better for me. Now there's a couple of Seedglaive Mentors. I think I'll just take one of those. My red cards play really well with this. My Rabid Gnaws play really well with Seedglaive Mentor. I don't really have a ton of tokens for Warren Elder. And blue, even though I did just take the Floodmaw, none of these cards are really cards I care about in blue-red, which is a deck that I would much rather have like non-creature spells. But this is a good opportunity to pick up a Seedglaive Mentor. And now we wheeled an Intrepid Rabbit. So wheeling is always an important thing to keep an eye on. Remember, somebody took a Carrot Cake over a Rabbit. I'm not sure why you would do that, because I think there were 2 Carrot Cakes in this pack. Rabbit just plays out really well. We already have the Seedglaive Mentor. It's looking like red-white might be a good place for us to end up. The Rabid Gnaws fit well here. This thing lets us target creatures as well. The Seedglaive Mentor came around late with 2 copies of it in the pack. Overall, we're looking pretty good here. Now we can take a Seed Pod Squire. This is another good card for red-white. You might see the blue-white hybrid and think, oh, this only fits into blue-white. But again, this card lets you target things, which will be just a repetitive source of ways to get the Seedglaive Mentor going or something like that. Okay, late Dire Downdraft. I'll just take it. We already have the Floodmaw. Leave ourselves open to like going blue-red if we get like a Ral or past something crazy. And then a Carrot Cake. And a Scales of Shield. So we've kind of moved away from the Rottenmouth Viper. But we still have like a lot of good stuff going on for us. We opened Starfall Invocation. I am going to take it. We are playing like an aggressive deck. Because I think at this point, we're pretty likely to play red-white. It just seemed open to us. We have like a couple 2-drops that can fit in the deck. We have a couple of just good payoffs, and the deck seemed open. And Starfall Invocation is really good because there are games where even in your aggressive deck, you'll fall behind. And this card, like say we have a Seedglaive Mentor in play, we can just kill everything and then get back Seedglaive Mentor and still hit them or something like that. Which means that this is just a really good sweeper even in an aggro deck when normally it wouldn't be. And sometimes you just need to kill everything, and that's just really nice. There is another Rabid Gnaw. I think this card's great. I think that in some situations, like you would just rather just have this because it fits your game A, like your game plan. But I kind of just want to try the Starfall Invocation, see if it does fit into this deck the way I kind of anticipate it will. Here we have another choice, Nettle Guard or Alania's Pathmaker. I'm going to take the Nettle Guard, get more 2-drops, get some nice synergy going. Bushy Bodyguard is a fantastic card. And one thing that's an easy trap for new drafters to fall into, especially with regards to signals, and especially on Arena where it's not as obvious, is in Pack 2, we're going to be seeing a lot of green, presumably. And why do I think we're going to see a lot of green? Well, if you look at the cards I've taken, I didn't take a single green card in Pack 1, which means the person passing to me in Pack 1, where in the way the draft works, the person passing to me in Pack 1 is Veggie Wagon, and the person passing to me in Pack 2 is Sirkovitz. Oh, that's kind of fun. But the way it works is in Pack 2, they're going to be passing me a lot of green because presumably Veggie Wagon was taking a lot of green, which is why I didn't see a single green card in Pack 1 that I wanted to take. And so if I start jumping into green in Pack 2, I'm going to get in trouble in pack 3 when green is no longer open. Here, I'm going to take another Seedglaive Mentor. This deck is really coming together. It's interesting because I could see a world where Sirkovitz is in white because I wasn't taking white cards particularly early. I ended up getting like a late Rabbit, and I got like a late Carrot Cake and a late Seedglaive Mentor. But I didn't pass a lot of black, so he's probably not playing black, and he's probably not playing red. And so maybe he's playing like green-blue or something like that. Though he did just pass this, so that's unlikely. But figuring out what the person to your left is playing isn't as important as figuring out what the person to your right is playing. But Seedglaive Mentor number 2, I'm happy with that. Phineas would be good, but we're not playing green. I think we're just going to take Might of the Meek, an easy way to buff our Seedglaive Mentors or our Nettle Guard. Hopefully you find this like general draft info educational and informative. I think we're going to take Head of the Homestead here. I just think this card's really good. Even though it's like not necessarily what red-white is about. The Veteran Guard Mouse, I think, is just, it's medium. It's not great. A 3/4 that needs like extra help isn't the best. Yeah. And now we just get to take a 2-mana 2/3. Like, always be on the lookout for just pure stats. Like, this is just a good stats card. So our red-white deck is coming together. When you play an aggressive deck, you want to make sure you have like at least 6 2-drops. So we have like 1, and you don't really want to count these random creatures that like aren't actually going to be attacking on turn 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And Carrot Cake isn't the best example of a good 2-drop. Our creature count is at 9. Our non-creature count is at 5. And we want to play a lot of these non-creatures. So I'm just going to take the Elania's Pathmaker, get myself another like big creature. I could take a Crumb and get it, but I think I'd rather just stick to getting creatures for now. Now I'll take Roughshod Duo, another nice little synergy piece for the expend deck. Because when you expend, or for this deck, because when I expend, I'll be able to buff this thing. And now I get a flyer that can buff my non-flyers. So we've kind of gotten a lot of good cards here. Elania's Pathmaker doesn't play the best with our, like some of our cards. Tempest Angler. So we have 5 non-creatures. This would be hard to cast in our deck, though, so I think we'll just take another Pathmaker. Pathmaker is not necessarily even what we want, but I think it's just like a fine option. We'll try War Squeak, maybe. Can be a formidable threat, especially when we have a lot of 2-for-1s like Pathmaker. You can sometimes afford to play more just like card disadvantage when you have like 2-for-1s like this built into your deck. This is a removal spell. I'm just going to sort my cards based on like creatures and stuff. Like cards I expect to play on curve. This can be played as a 4-drop, which is really nice. I hope I don't have to play the Provisioner. I just don't think it's as good. Sure, I'll take the Sazakap, but I don't think I'm going to play Sazakap's Brew. So yeah, our deck is looking really, really strong right now. Or really at least solid, and I'm pretty happy with how we've been drafting it. Okay, so going into pack 3, what do we need? Well, our creature count is at 13. Our 2-drop count is at like 3, 1, 2, 3, kind of 4. So we kind of have a lot of options here. We could just take a Coruscation Mage. We have plenty of non-creatures to trigger it, which I like. We could take a Mabel's Metal, which is really good when you like buff up 2 things. So we like buff our Seedglaive Mentor and buff something else. We could take Intrepid Rabbit. I think I'm going to take the Coruscation Mage, though. I think it's nice to have that reach. We could also take Blacksmith's Talent because it lets us have like a repetitive way to equip things. But I think it's a little bit inefficient mana-wise, so I'm going to pass on it for now. I'm just going to take the Mage, get the pings, and even though it doesn't necessarily synergize with the deck perfectly, the damage part synergizes quite nicely. Now I'm going to take out the trash, get some interaction for my deck. Some cheap interaction especially is nice. Bravekin Duo could be okay. But yeah, take out the trash is nice. I think I'm going to take Repel Calamity over Mousetrapper. Just get the interaction. Get something that can kill something bigger. So if my opponent plays a 4/4, I don't have to worry about like how I'm going to deal with it. I don't have the most ways to target things in the world. I've got the Rabid, Gnaw, War, Squeak, Might of the Meek, that's 4. This is kind of 5. This is kind of 6. That's kind of 7. Tapping things can be really good, but I'm just going to take another interactive spell. Now we get an interesting spot because there's like the generically powerful Brightblade Stoat, which I think I'm going to take because sometimes you're on the back foot and you just need some life gain, and playing this on the draw is going to be great. But there's also like Heartfire Hero, which like if you have like a lot of synergy you're trying to enable, this card can be perfect for you. And then there's like another Nettle Guard, but I think the Brightblade Stoat is just too good to pass up here. First Strike Lifelink is a really good combo. Talent doesn't do exactly what I want. I do like the Scribe, just gets me some extra filtering into my deck. And then Thistledown Players is a fine 3-drop, but we're already pretty much set on 3s. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2-drops. Carrot Cake's not my favorite one, though. Whisker Quill Scribe does a lot better job. But the other cool thing about our 2-drops is they have that utility. Like, playing this on turn 4 is totally fine. But we'd rather just, like, have the ability to pressure our opponent early and then play, like, one of these cards. Like, War Squeak, Might of the Meek. Ooh, another Mage or another Brightblade Stoat. So I think we want to take one of those two. I think they're both better than Carrot Cake. The question is, do we want a third Mage? What's my non-creature spell count at? 9 non-creatures. That gives me a lot of flexibility to ping my opponent out in the late game. I'm going to take that. The thing is, I'm going to just take the Stoat because I think my deck is already good when I'm ahead. And I think the Brightblade Stoat is the best option for when I'm behind. And that's an important like metric to keep track of. There's now a Raccoon Rallier, which I am going to take as another repeatable way to trigger my cards like this, which will let me give them extra stats with Valiant. I think Nettle Guard is nice, but I think also the Threat of Haste is pretty good. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 2-drops, the cards that I can play on turn 2, but a lot of them are also fine to play later on in the game. So would I rather have Head of the Homestead or a Seed Pod Squire? I don't think I ended up being a very good tokens deck. I don't have ways to like buff up my creatures consistently, so I think I'd rather have the Squire here in this spot. We ended up wheeling the Mabel's Metal. That's really nice. I think we'll take that over this. They're giving Equipped Creatures Double Strike is really nice in the late game. Equip 2 is just too much in the early game. Perfect. A Bravekin Duo is another nice cheap way to enable our stuff. And we got a Thistledown Player, sure. I am going to cut the Head of the Homestead at this point. I don't think it fits our deck very well. The Provisioner is just too expensive for what I'm trying to do. I'm just going to cut that as well. I like having just really cheap cards here. Ooh, and we even got the Nettle Guard back. Perfect. I'm going to cut Sazakap's Brew. I kind of have this Whisker's Quill Scribe to maybe do that. I've got plenty of ways to actually use my mana. And I've got actually a really good defensive plan too, where if I'm playing and I'm falling behind, I actually have outs to like how I can come back into a game. So I like that as well. Do I need the Seed Pod Squires? I feel like I might just have enough ways to target things without it. This is a way to target things. This is a way to target things. There's a way to target things. This targets. I also might not need the Carrot Cake anymore. The Gerbils is probably just good as a 2-3. Roughshod Duo might not be the best because I don't have a lot of expensive cards. Especially if I cut both of those. My current plan is just go cut, 16 lands. Because my mana is pretty evenly distributed. And then cut like one more 2-drop. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 2-drop creatures. A few ways to target. A few repetitive ways to target. I don't really have a lot of repetitive ways to target, honestly. I kind of got rid of a lot of those. My mouse count is at 7 mice. And as a result, I think I'm going to cut Might of the Meek. And I think I'm going to just try it like that. I think this deck is pretty good. Pretty even mana. Pretty good game plan. And I can always try a different version that uses some of the more expensive cards that I cut. Like this thing as a repetitive source of targeting. But for now, this seems good to me. And I'll see you folks in the games. Before I get to the games, I want to give a huge shout out to all of the people who support my channel at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. It really does make a big difference, and it really helps me continue making as many videos as I do. If you're interested in becoming a patron, you gain access to some cool rewards when you do become a patron, like my card-by-card draft tier list for Bloomburrow, where I've graded every single card in the set on an A through F scale, as well as a new Patreon reward, the Format Thoughts Doc, which is where I keep track of a bunch of thoughts I have on the format, like individual cards, the archetypes, big picture, things like that, and that'll help you really get a leg up on the format as well. I want to give a special shout out to those patrons who do support at the credits level. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. But without further ado, let's get to the games. Welcome to round one. We have a great opening hand here. On the draw is exactly where I want my Brightblade Stout. This card helps me come back if I fall behind. There is some logic that says that because I have more planes, I should focus on playing my red cards. But I want to be able to attack and get a bit of a life buffer potentially. Okay, that's really bad for me. But I do gain at least 2 life there. And now my 1/1 can threaten to trade with that. Ooh, that's really good. This is exactly why this sort of card is beneficial. Like, I'm going to win this game easily because of this card if I hit my 5th land. I'll play this. Just try to force them into overextending a little bit. I just feel like I'm in a good spot here now. Wow, having 4 of this in play is going to be insane. I'll take my chance to kill this. Especially because they might just only have small creatures in play for a while. This 1/1 is way more valuable for me than it is for them, so I will not trade. Because mine has an effect on the game still. Okay, so I need to find something. That counts as something. So if I attack with all of my 2/2s, they go block, block, block. So I'm definitely ahead here, but it's going to end up being close, I think. Okay, that trade was bad for me, but it was one I was willing to make because if we get into a holding pattern here, then that's okay for me, but okay. They drew a spell. That's not the best for me. And we got the job done. Kind of a grindier game than I anticipated. Honestly. I'm not sure if I should make changes. I still only have 16 lands. Woohoo! We're in gold! Still only 16 lands, but that was a little bit dicey. I think we're just going to keep it as is for at least one more game. I am going to be playing 5 games with this deck. That gives me a good sample size, but it also lets me like try as many decks as possible in the early access event here, which is going to be fun. Great opener. I like it. Being on the draw is not the biggest problem here. I'm going to play this for now. They're playing blue-black. They're going to get to surveil once. So I should have talked through this a little bit better. Okay, that card's really good. The fact that they put that away probably means they're digging for lands. Sure. Or that they're just like trying to fill their graveyard as fast as possible. So I'm just gonna this guy's getting close to active. Sure. Wow, they didn't just put both in their graveyard, it looks like. Okay. This card is purely a stall card. It's like not you're not you. I mean, or you can sometimes blow them out, but usually it's just like you're stalling them. Hmm. Nice. Trading off a little bit. Okay, that's also really good for them. They're starting to turn the corner a bit. For sure. I'm pretty surprised with that attack, honestly. I'll just be honest about that. Okay, they know I have this card. Wow, they just take it? Oh, they can kill me, maybe. I don't know. What is happening? Oh my gosh. Their deck is jacked. Oh, they have such a sick deck. Now they have to decide. Do they want to play around me having a combat trick? And they don't! Oh my gosh, the play pays off. Wow, I can't believe they did that. I thought they'd block for sure. Yep, good game. That was crazy. If I'd had a combat trick, I would have won. Wow. Wow, well played, opponent. They knew what they needed to do. Gosh. That felt weird. It felt almost as if, like, I don't know. I don't know how I was supposed to play that so that they didn't just, like, destroy me, but the Wix guys are just insane. Like, without those, they definitely would have lost. And if they hadn't had two of them, they would have lost. So it was like they had to have two really, really good uncommons for the graveyard deck to beat me. I don't know. I feel like most of the time I win that matchup because that card is like contested by every black deck. But kudos to them. That was a sweet one. And I was like inches away too. One more combat trick, I would have had him. Welcome to another round. I think this battlefield is gorgeous. When players are on a mulligan, just getting 2 for 1s is really nice. I'm just going to kill that. That's bad for me. Well, shucks. I need to find a kill spell for this thing. Or it's going to pull them out of their mulligan. Though, to be fair, they've taken a lot of damage with that. But they're also getting a lot of value. I can't believe they suicided their guy. That was crazy. They have to take the mage, right? Yeah. They have to have a way to kill this, too. Oh, they needed a gain life so they could surveil or something? Really? I guess it works out better for them that they didn't double block, but that still feels wild. They're taking so much damage. This little guy's done so much. They hit 3, 8. They've taken 12 from that. Because they hit this, this, and now this. And I'm still at 20. Yeah. Value is good, but at what cost? Got the win. I was really high on Darkstar Augur, but I guess in that matchup it did not do very well. Though to be fair, they had mulliganed a lot, and they like suicided this guy for no reason. So I could see a world where that thing won them the game. Anyway, see you folks next round. Okie doke, here we go on the play. This card seems just so good to me. They're mulliganing. Using this, killing everything, getting back a Pathmaker is so sick. Raccoon Rallier. Ooh, Sultai. Ooh. Gosh, they just keep playing big guys. Terrifying. Kind of sacrifice this guy to deal 2 damage. Which, in retrospect, I'm not disappointed in at all. So would I rather take... I'll take 2 damage to deal 1 to them. And this is trample. So they got a card, but I got a card back too. Okay. Well, I think this is going to be good for me. I have to imagine this will work out. Glarb! So if they do play a crazy spell... Okay, so they just die. Maybe it wasn't what they wanted to do there. Might have just needed to let Glarb die. But, nice win. Huge. We're going to play one more round. Let's see if we can secure a 4-1 record! The only deck that beat us with that sweet graveyard deck. 4-1 would be awesome. 3-1. Feels like this deck has really clicked. It's really gone well. And I think just cutting all of our expensive cards and running 16 lands was a real key to this deck. It's just been really smooth, really easy. Whoa! Finishing things up against LSV. Let's get this going. Not my best hand ever, but we have the Rallier and the Take Out the Trash, and we're on the play, so. Let's just find a couple of good cards. Ooh, he's playing the Hidden Grotto. And the Epic, okay. Here we go. Oh gosh. Is he going to be activating the Thistle Down book? Or the Heirloom Epic? This is Thistledown. Thistledown can be played, attack. Oh, it can only untap non-land permanents. Dang. Sure. I could have also just played the Seedglaive Mentor and hit them for more damage. But I think getting the value is important here. Like I could have played this, buffed it up, so that it hit them for 5 and then hit them for 7. So this would have, instead of hitting them for... Last turn I hit them for 4 damage, I could have hit them for 7 damage. So they could be at 6 here. Yes! Victory! We have defeated LSV! Oh my gosh, that's an awesome feeling. Feels good. Let's go. Way to end it up. 4-1, beating one of the best players of all time. What a rush. Woo! My deck was sick. Oh my gosh. What a curve out. Yes! Oh, I'm so happy. Let's go. Well, 4-1, awesome deck. Really happy we got to play this one. The Starfall Invocation, hopefully you got to see that this card was good even in an aggro deck, and if you're a controlling deck, it's even better. So this card's stellar. We got 2 Seedglaive Mentors. I felt like we really read the signals well here, and we had so many 2-drops. The Alania's Pathmakers were amazing, just like drawing us a card every time. Absolutely stellar in this deck. I really thought this was a good build and a really fun one. The Coruscation Mage is getting 4 into play at once. This was awesome, and I am really, really happy with this. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave hashtag Mighty Mice in the comments section down below, because yeah, that was really an awesome display by the mice, where we had like 7 mice, I guess, but like it felt like more. The mice were really awesome. You could also leave hashtag I don't want to spoil the thing of the fact that we beat LSV to end it by having that be the hashtag, but all you folks, you know, I mean, so that was pretty awesome. But like hashtag 2-drops galore would also make sense. We have so many 2-drops, but this was awesome. I really had a lot of fun playing this. I hope you enjoyed watching and learned something. And remember to hit the thumbs up button if you did enjoy it. Subscribe for more draft videos and stuff like that, and comment with your questions, thoughts, and feedback. You can support the NicolaiBolas channel and all of my work here at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas and gain access to some cool rewards in the process, like my tier list and my format thoughts document with all my thoughts on the format and things like that. But yeah, a huge shout out to Wizards of the Coast for letting me play in this early access event as well. It's been a blast, and I really do appreciate the free preview account. But that's going to do it for this one, though. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you next time.